Today I will be installing the navigation module into my FRS, my 2015 FRS. The dealership wanted $1,200 for it. I found it brand new, $450 shipped. So I'm gonna go and put it in my stock radio. It came with the cables, brackets for it, the antenna, and also too I'm going to be installing this thing right here, which is probably one of the best kits I've seen for adding a reverse camera to the factory function. Has a built-in fuse right here, that was pretty neat. Also has a relay because it's going to splice into the factory harness, and here's where you're going to get the RCA connection. I see this one I got for $34 shipped, I believe, which was pretty great because the ones that were half of this were like $20, and I could have made it, but the fact that everything's plug and play, has all the connectors and relay, I decided I'm going to spend the money and not even mess with it. So that was pretty sweet. A couple of things I'm going to use is a pry tool, which I never really bought any of these, but this is a brand new car off the showroom floor. I decided to get these so I don't scratch too much of the interior. 10mm, kind of overkill of an extension, but it's my favorite extension for the 1/4 inch. And then a knife. Never know when you need a knife to cut something. And of course zip ties, the bloodline of any car enthusiast. So go ahead to the front of the car and start taking it apart. Doing this against the sun. Okay, so here is the stock radio. I believe this is 2014, 2015, and kind of already scratched it up here and here. So when the radio comes out, make sure you guys are careful with it. But I'm going to use this pry tool, and I usually pry. I don't ever rest on this here, but I usually just pry right in here. Get it started there. And then I come here and I pry up there. Then you just work off the bracket here. This corner job is the trickiest. Pull the trim off. And then you're going to see 4 10mm bolts in the corner, so I'll go ahead and take those off. So here it is. I go ahead and I took the factory head unit out. This gray cord here is the USB, for the USB down here. It's going to respond a little bit differently now that I have the nav unit, so important things to remember is that this cord here for the USB is actually not going to go on the head unit anymore. It's going to go onto the bottom of the nav, and I'll show you that a little bit later. But here's all the cords. This will be the one that you're going to patch that connector for the reverse camera that I'm using, but if you're not using that, then don't worry about that. Here's the main 16 pin connector that I went ahead and I added the red wire onto pin number 2. So this one here is what I added. This is what when the car gets the reverse signal, it's going to turn the video on for the reverse camera, and that will go into underneath the panel, the kick panel on the driver's side. So now that we have that, go take this head unit to the back of the car and get working on it. So here we are in the back of the car again. Gonna put it all together. The first thing you need to do is you're gonna take off these 3 8mm bolts. You can either do it with the Phillips if it's not too tight, or you can do it with the 8mm socket or wrench. You're also gonna need 2 extra ones of these screws. They're similar to these. Mine came with this kit. And you're gonna put these brackets on, and show you what that looks like here in a minute. So here's the bottom of the nav module, and I went ahead and added this foam strip, I guess, so that it doesn't start rubbing on that, making contact. The person I bought this from had this already. It's peels off. It's adhesive on the back end, so now it's on there. There's kind of the adhesive. You can kind of see it. But you're gonna go ahead and put that on there, and I already have one bracket kind of going, and it's gonna pretty much sit in here like this, and there goes the connector for part of the system. I connect that on there, make sure it's snug. As it goes at the bottom. And there's the other mounting hole for the nav unit right here. Show you how it goes together. I'm gonna go back and actually tighten these up a little bit better, but for now I'm just gonna hand tighten. It's good. So that's half of it already put together. Show you this other side. See if I could do it one-handed. And you want to first start with your plate. It's gonna kind of hug the top of the nav and the head unit. You can see it has a hole right there. It has like little clips to kind of help you get it in place, and the screws you're going to use is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that bracket goes on there. The flat bracket goes on there first, and then your factory bracket goes over it. And here you see your hose 1, 2, 3, and 4 here on my thumb. So I'm gonna go ahead and just tighten all 4 of these. So this is basically the 3 factory mounts screws you had before. And all you're putting is putting this bracket underneath it, so you can have this 4th hole right here for the navigation module. And that's pretty much it right there. I'm gonna go back and tighten those a little bit. Same way on both sides. The back of the nav here was your old USB port here. To make sure you plug it in down here. Here's the port for the antenna. Goes to this one. USB port goes from here. Okay, go ahead and add this patch cable from down here into these 2. I'll leave the antenna off for now. And make sure you have this bottom one connected as well. I'm gonna go put it back in the car. Actually, before we put it back in the car, I forgot. Like I said, since I'm adding the reverse camera to mine, here is the patch cord, and the way it's gonna connect is this little one that only has a couple of cables. It's gonna go into this top one. There, and then this one that's off color is going to go into here. It's going to basically be a buy through for this. Goes back into the car harness, and that's what's going to give me 12 volts to the relay, because the power that comes out of here is only 6 volts, and the camera I have is a 12 volt camera, so going with this one instead. So I just plug this one into that now. And you can go ahead and put it back in the car now. One thing I did forget to note is that the harness here didn't come with this connector. I had to add this connector here, along with this one here that goes into my camera. I went ahead and got the shielded ones, male and female, so they can just connect right into there. So as far as the antenna, this is where I decided to put it. It's magnetic on the back side of it, and if you want to, I guess you could have put it on the nav, on the head unit itself, but I think just to make it easier for me and be out of my way, I think I'm just going to put it on the bar there as horizontal as I can. That looks good enough for me. If I change my mind, I'll probably just take it off, but that's where I'm going to mount that. I decided to zip tie the relay to the rest of the harness, since it doesn't really have anywhere else to hang, and that way I can come out easily. And from here is just plug and play. Just one final look before it goes back into its tune here. Have the ground connected, the two harnesses for the control for the module, the main harness that has the now reverse wire in. My GPS antenna is here. It's kind of blurry. Yeah, it's not getting any better. This is the one for the USB. Here's the patch harness for the reverse camera, which patches in through here. And here is the one that gives me the signal, and that was the old connector for the USB. Go ahead and put it all back together. Go ahead and put it on the on position. I had the park lights on because it's getting darker, so it's kind of being washed out. So there goes a bespoke splash screen with AHA. So start playing music off my USB. Here comes the warning for the navigation. Hit OK. And there goes the GPS. Like I said, went into night mode because I did turn the park lights on. Go ahead, put in reverse, and there goes the camera. Now it's not actually technically mounted on yet. I still need to find a way to mount it on the back, because this is actually not the camera for it. It's a universal camera I had for my 350Z. Had two of them, so I put this one on this one, and that apparently is compatible when I tested it beforehand. Oh, and it's actually interesting that the camera screen would actually dim up with the park lights on. That's kind of interesting. There goes the audio, and there goes the options for the AHA.